The movie kicks off with some MMA fights. And in the locker room, we've got three guys nervously waiting for their turn, looking like they just realized they left the stove on at home. A fourth guy shows up, and things get tense because why not? Someone calls out Stokes, and Mike, one of the dudes, steps up like he's about to save the world, or at least his pride. Now, let's meet our four fighters. First up is Mike Stokes, who gets dropped off at college by his dad. Clearly, these two aren't winning any Father-Son of the Year awards. Mike meets his new roommate, Kurt, who's actually pretty chill. Then we meet Zach, a boxer. While Zach's training, his coach warns him about an upcoming fight, saying, "We've got this mystery guy, Ortega, subbing in, but we know nothing about him." Zach, of course, is all confidence, like, "No problem, I'll handle it." Classic. Who needs strategy when you've got fists, right? Next is Tim, the guy with a lot on his plate, college, a job, and family issues. He's holding it together like duct tape on a broken window. His dad passed away, and now Tim's juggling life while his mom's struggling with bills. Finally, we meet Justin Epstein, a comic book nerd who works at a comic shop. He tries asking out a girl who's trading in comics, and she shuts him down faster than a Windows update. Yeah, that's never gonna happen. Ouch. Later, Mike's checking out the hack college website, which now shows a countdown to something called the Beatdown. Sounds like a fun time, right? Kurt tries to get Mike to go party, but Mike's not feeling it. Kurt, being the roommate we all need, convinces Mike to spill what's bothering him. So, they end up at this typical college party, dancing, drinks, probably a keg stand or two. Kurt dares Mike to hit on a girl, and surprise, surprise, Mike instantly falls for her. He goes over, ready to charm her socks off, but she shuts him down like a pro. "Sorry, got a boyfriend. Better luck next time, Mike." Meanwhile, Zach's getting destroyed in his fight against Ortega. His eyes so swollen, he looks like he just got hit with a bag of bricks. He ends up flat on his back, out cold. Then there's Justin, who's walking home one night and spots two dudes training. He doesn't think much of it until he gets jumped by some bullies. Apparently, Justin's their favorite punching bag. He tries to fight back but is outnumbered, so he bolts. He runs to the guys he saw earlier, one of them being Tim. The other? A tough, older guy. They step in, and the bullies are out of there faster than a cat when you turn on a vacuum. One day, Mike gets called in by Max Cooperman, the resident advisor, who's also a guy with a side hustle, organizing illegal MMA tournaments. Max wants Mike to join the Beatdown, an underground fight club with a cash prize of 10 grand. Mike's like, sounds tempting. Let me think about it. Zach, on the other hand, gets some bad news from his doctor. Turns out his eye injury is serious, and if he keeps boxing, he could go blind. Zach's devastated. As he's leaving the doctor's office, he overhears someone talking about the Beatdown, a sign from the universe, perhaps. Meanwhile, Tim comes home to find his siblings watching music videos that are, let's just say, not exactly kid-friendly. When he asks where their mom is, he finds out she's working as a waitress at a strip club. Yikes. Tim confronts her, but she tells him to go home like, "Not now, I'm working." Talk about awkward family dynamics. Back at the gym, Mike's wrestling with some guy who starts making fun of him for his dad, leaving his mom for another man. Mike, already on edge, snaps and goes full Hulk, beating the guy up. But in his rage, he punches the coach too, and yep, you guessed it, gets kicked out of the gym. Later, Mike and Zach bump into each other outside Max's dorm and decide they're all in for the beatdown. Max checks their fighting backgrounds and is impressed, but he warns them, you need a real coach. Someone who'll kick you, but into shape. Enter Case Walker. Case is no joke. The guy's built like a tank and trains people like he's preparing them for a zombie apocalypse. Mike and Zach show up, and Case isn't impressed at first. He's like, "Why should I waste my time on you too?" They explain they want to compete in the beatdown, and Max sent them. Case rolls his eyes and calls Max a wannabe Dana White. But Mike, being the stubborn guy he is, doesn't back down. Case gives him a once-over and goes, "Alright, you've got heart, but if I train you, you're paying in blood, sweat, and cash." Classic tough guy move. Case immediately throws them into hardcore drills. Zach's doing sprawls and kicks, while Mike gets a more specific task. Case tapes a piece of paper to a string and punches a hole right through it, showing off his technique. He tells Mike to keep at it until he gets it right, no matter how long it takes. Mike's probably thinking, well, this is going to be a long day, and so the real training begins. The crew is deep in training mode, with Tim, Zach, and Justin working hard on their skills. Mike, however, struggles with perfecting his punch, drawing awkward looks on campus, especially from a girl who rejected him at a party. Tensions rise, and Zach crosses the line by mocking Justin's mom. Case, their coach, overhears and orders Justin to teach Zach a lesson, resulting in Justin slamming Zach hard. Meanwhile, Max suggests Case fight random people at bars to hype up their tournament, and Case dominates, knocking out opponents effortlessly. During one of these bar fights, Zach's girlfriend, who happens to be the girl Mike likes, stirs the pot by bringing up Mike's family issues. The taunting gets to Mike, and he's ready to fight, but Case warns him to back off before things get worse. Mike, being headstrong, ignores the advice setting the stage for trouble. The next day, two cops show up at Case's place and start poking around. Turns out, Case has a criminal past, and they tell him to pack up and leave. When the guys arrive, Case drops the bomb, no more coaching. Justin, however, is all fired up and tells them he's joining the tournament. Tim's got a light bulb moment and finds an abandoned building for them to train in. Zach goes off to get some gear from his old gym, and Max shows up with a big sign reading Case Walker's Combat Club. When Case walks in, he's impressed, and training kicks off again. At one point, the guys show up to see Case sparring with none other than Lyoto Machida. Turns out, Case was once a top MMA fighter 6 years ago, but dropped off the map. Tim says he spent 2 years in prison and just recently got out. Later, the crew starts gossiping about why Case might have ended up in jail, and Mike and Justin butt heads over it. To settle things, Case throws them into the cage for a fight, where Justin manages to get Mike into a hold. Mike, as usual, refuses to tap and ends up passing out. Eve, Zach's girlfriend, shows up to check on him afterward. While training, Case notices something's up with Zach's eye and asks about it. Zach explains, but Case keeps training him anyway, saying it's Zach's choice to deal with the consequences. He also gives Mike some advice on controlling his anger. If you can control your anger, you can control the fight. Time passes, and the guys keep training hard. Zach starts getting more attention from the ladies and decides to call things off with Eve. He even quits the tournament. Meanwhile, Justin goes full psycho. He tracks down the bullies who beat him up and gets revenge, leaving him covered in blood. He goes to thank Case, but Case tells him to get lost. He doesn't want trouble with the law. As things heat up, Mike and Eve finally get together. Max and his crew start setting up for the big tournament, but when Max visits Case, he drops the news. Zach's out. We get some insight into Case's past. He followed in his father's footsteps to become a fighter, but after his family died in a flood at the Coliseum, he spiraled and ended up in prison after a bar fight. Max tries to comfort him, saying his parents are probably still watching over him. But before Max can leave, the cops show up again at Case's trailer, this time planting a gun to arrest him. Case, being the badass he is, fights off the cops, and Max films the whole thing. They take Case to the station, where Tim, Mike, and Zach wait anxiously. A lawyer shows up and reveals that the fingerprints on the gun belong to none other than Justin Epstein. Looks like Justin's been causing all kinds of trouble. Now, the guys are determined to take him down at the tournament. Finally, the tournament begins with Max playing host. One by one, our guys win their matches, including Zach, who jumps back in to get revenge on Justin. Tim pulls off the fastest win in history, earning him some major props. Backstage, Justin tries to get under Mike's skin, but Mike stays cool. The fights continue until Mike and Zach make it to the semifinals. Mike ends up choking Zach out with an anaconda choke, while Justin takes a cheap shot and injures Tim's knee with a metal bar, knocking him out of the competition. In the final match, Mike and Justin go head-to-head, with Mike ultimately winning by snapping Justin's right shoulder in an omoplata submission. Justin tries to get some last-minute revenge by attacking Mike from behind, but Mike shuts him down with a Superman punch to the face. As Mike and Eve celebrate his win, he finally reaches out to his dad, inviting him to dinner. Meanwhile, Case gets a call from Big John McCarthy, confirming that he's making a comeback to the MMA world.